Hey everybody, the Super Vader 400 here, back for another retro review, and this time I'm doing a year in review of WWE in 2005. WWE in 2005, before I start off, was freaking awesome. I didn't have much appreciation for it at the time it was happening, but I was a huge and avid watcher of it when it was happening, and after seeing today's crappy product and watching several shows from this year, WWE was freaking awesome. I thought 2002, 2003, 2004, and 2007 were much better, but WWE 2005 was an awesome year. Main problem I have with WWE 2005, of course, is the transition to new guys. This is when it officially happened. Lots of the former WCW and ECW wrestlers, in my opinion, around this time were unfairly released. Top guys like Goldberg, Brock Lesnar, The Rock, and Stone Cold were leaving. Stone Cold made several appearances, but he was done as a wrestler. And other top guys were getting up there in age, so this is when WWE was transitioning to the new guys. When I see that happening now, when I see that happening here, but don't see that happening today, it makes me really appreciate WWE during this era, all the new talent they had. Raw and SmackDown were both awesome during this year. I thought SmackDown was better because they had more wrestling, but both shows was awesome. I thought WWE 2005 was good all the way up until after ECW One Night Stand. After ECW One Night Stand, in my opinion, it went downhill. Lots of wrestlers like the Dudley Boys, Matt Morgan, Mark Jindrak, and many more wrestlers were released, and of course you had the draft, and I didn't like the new draft. I thought Cena should have stayed on SmackDown with his Thugonomics character. He was having a good feud with JBL. Then when he came to Raw, he just got stale and boring. However, when I watch him now on Raw, he was better than he is today. And I thought Batista was much better on Raw than he was on SmackDown, even though he was freaking awesome. Even though SmackDown was freaking awesome with Batista. Yeah, WWE 2005, in my opinion, was an awesome year. Some of the awesome talent you had during this year, of course. Gonna start off with the young guys. You had Shelton Benjamin, Lance Cade and Murdoch, Gregory Helms, Orlando Jordan, Joey Mercury, Johnny Nitro, Ken Kennedy, or Ken Anderson, no, better known today as Ken Anderson. You had the ECW wrestlers like Tommy Dreamer, the Cruiserweights, Psychosis, Juventud, and Super Crazy. And then of course you had familiar top talent, like, of course, you had Kane and Big Show, Undertaker, Chris Jericho before he left, Booker T, Chris Benoit, Eddie Guerrero, and as new faces you had John Cena, Batista, Edge. As for people who were new to the main event scene. Then also going back to more familiar faces, Shawn Michaels was awesome here. Triple H was pretty awesome here. Ric Flair was awesome here. Then going back to the young guys, you had Bobby Lashley and Chris Masters, who I thought both of those guys should have been big in WWE. Then of course, my opinion, this is also when the Diva division started going downhill. I thought the Diva division went downhill kind of in 2004 when you were doing that crappy Diva search competition. But there was lots of awesome stuff this year. I'm going to talk about awesome feuds and matches. I love the whole Evolution feud, the dissension of Evolution, with Batista being the last one. With Batista, being one of the last ones to leave Evolution, with Batista turning on both Triple H and Flair, leading to the match between them at WrestleMania 21, where Batista triumphantly beat Triple H to become the World Heavyweight Championship. That whole feud, that whole feud and storyline was awesome, and Batista winning the title was awesome and heroic, and the matches with Triple H and Batista afterwards were pretty good too. The story in those matches was just phenomenal. Then of course you had the last person to leave Evolution. Well, Triple H, when he took after he took his hiatus, he turned on Ric Flair, and that led to several awesome matches with them. One of my favorites being the cage match with them at Taboo Tuesday 2005. Then other awesome feuds you had that year. You had Randy Orton and Undertaker. Randy Orton, first they wrestled at WrestleMania. Randy Orton challenged for the streak and lost after an awesome match. Then him and Undertaker continued the feud throughout that whole year. They had an awesome rematch at SummerSlam where Randy Orton won due to assistance from Bob Orton. Then, of course, they had a handicap casket match at No Mercy 2005 with Bob Orton and Randy Orton versus Undertaker, where they put him in the casket and lit it on fire. Then it ended with an awesome Hell in a Cell match at Armageddon 2005, where Undertaker finally ended the feud by pitting Randy Orton inside the cage, and Randy Orton went on to feud with Rey Mysterio and Chris Benoit next. Then, of course, another awesome feud this year was the Shawn Michaels and Kurt Angle feud. Kurt Angle and Shawn Michaels. That was a dream match, and that was a wrestling clinic. They put on a wrestling clinic at WrestleMania. They also had a 30-minute Iron Man match on Raw, and an awesome three-way match. Shawn Michaels and Kurt Angle had an awesome three-way match with Cena at, I think it was either Taboo Tuesday 2005 or Survivor Series 2005. I can't remember which one it was, but I remember it being freaking awesome. Other awesome stuff. Kane and Big Show as tag team champions, the most dominant tag team champions ever. Then of course you had the whole Team Raw versus Team SmackDown feud. You had Edge representing Raw. You had Edge, Carlito, Shawn Michaels, Chris Masters versus Chris Masters, Kane, and Big Show versus Bobby Lashley, Batista, Randy Orton taking Eddie Guerrero's spot, Rey Mysterio, and JBL. This was an awesome match. Of course, it was either Team SmackDown or Raw who won. I can't remember who won, but I just remember the match. Team SmackDown won because I remember the ending. Undertaker returned and cleaned house. It was but also Undertaker made his triumphant return and just straight up cleaned house. Then of course other awesome matches you had during that year. Eddie Guerrero's World Heavyweight Championship match with Batista in one of the last big title matches he had before he died, and one of the last major feuds he was in before he died. Then his very last match with the upstart Ken Kennedy. That was an awesome match. And you know how sad I was the next day to hear 2 days later that he died. What's his name? And then of course you had Matt Hardy and Edge. You had the awesome street fight at SummerSlam where Edge gave Matt Hardy a concussion by kicking him in the head. That whole feud was awesome. Then the cage match they had on Unforgiven. Then of course the street fight they had on Raw. They had on Raw where Matt Hardy's side effect Edge off the ramp. Just awesome stuff. Like I said, the whole Matt Hardy Edge thing was awesome. Kane and Edge was pretty good too, with Kane fulfilling the role of Matt Hardy till Matt Hardy returned. Like I said, you had the ECW One Night Stand 2005. All of those matches were awesome. The opener with Chris Jericho and Lance Storm, with Lance Storm winning with the kendo stop from Just Incredible. Mysterio defeating Psychosis in an awesome match. You know how awesome it was seeing Psychosis unmasked for the first time. I never saw Psychosis without his mask up until One Night Stand 2005. Then, of course, you had Nunzio, Super Crazy, Super Crazy and Tajiri in an awesome 3-way, and Super Crazy in the match hit a moonsault off the balcony, then power bombed Tajiri and hit him with 3 moonsaults to win the match. Then of course you had the match that some people say stole the show, Mike Awesome versus Masato Tanaka, with Mike Awesome winning after several awesome bombs and suicide dives. Then, of course, you had a wrestling clinic with Chris Benoit and Eddie Guerrero. Chris Benoit, of course, wins with the crippler crossface. Then, of course, you had the in the main event, you had in an impromptu match, you had Rhino coming out of nowhere and spearing goring RVD, who was cutting a promo about how he was mad that he had to miss ECW and WrestleMania that year, which led to an impromptu match between Rhino and Sabu, and this was an awesome impromptu match. Sabu won with the Arabian Facebuster. Then of course the main event, which was the Dudley Boys versus the Sandman and Tommy Dreamer. Sandman's entrance was awesome, and so was Tommy Dreamer. Even the Dudley Boys were singing along the Enter the Sandman theme song. This was an awesome hardcore match. Then all the ECW wrestlers got involved. Kid Cash, who was recently at TNA, who was fired from TNA for talking bad about the company, made his debut at this pay-per-view, his official WWE debut at this pay-per-view. Then it was just seeing all these ECW wrestlers fight each other. Then, of course, the wrestlers, the Team Raw and SmackDown, who invaded the WWE wrestlers who invaded ECW, they all had a gang fight, an alley fight at the end, with Mick Foley taking Bischoff, throwing him in the ring, Bischoff getting several different finishers and 2 stunners from Austin to close out this awesome emotional show. This was WWE at its peak. In my opinion, it sort of went downhill afterwards, but man, that was some awesome stuff. Also, Hulk Hogan and Shawn Michaels, another awesome match. Then of course you had Hulk Hogan and Shawn teaming up to wrestle Muhammad Hassan and Navari. I thought that was cool and nostalgic. Those 2 guys teaming up. Then, of course, at WrestleMania 21, the very first ever Money in the Bank match between Edge, Chris Benoit, Chris Jericho, Shelton Benjamin, and Kane. And Edge won the Money in the Bank, which will lead to something big much later. WWE in 2005 was just awesome. Also, before I forget, you also had at Taboo Tuesday, you had a tag team match between the debuting Kane and Murdoch versus Kane and Big Show. This was an awesome match. You also had another match with 4 of the most dominant big men in WWE, Kane and Big Show versus Tom Cole and Stitsky, with Kane and Big Show beating them, squashing them. Then, of course, you had another awesome street fight on Raw between Kane and Murdoch, and Kane and the Big Show, with Kane and the Big Show winning. Also, Gregory Helms turning on his partner Rosie and becoming a much more serious wrestler. That was pretty cool. Nice evolution of that character. And like I said, WWE in 2005 was just awesome. It's way better. I enjoy it much now than I did back in 2005. I have more appreciation for it now than I did back when it happened. This was awesome. Well, all right. This was my year review of WWE 2005. I might do a pay-per-view review series later. All right, Doug out.